Did your government just imprison you at home because of coronavirus? Maybe you even are now working at home and companies finally understood that you can work remotely. At the same time, governments are helping out these companies and other ones just to sustain them through the month and maybe the months to come. Yet banks are still unable to be opened on the weekends. What is up everyone, my name is Vlad the Crypto Trader, and today I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why you should buy some Bitcoin now in March 2020. Let's get it. The first reason is inflation, and what that means for most of us is the devaluation of our savings as the money supply increases. You can have some money saved up in your bank, you could have some money saved up maybe even at home, but the main point is this: as the money supply increases, that money that you have saved up becomes less scarce. I even googled the definition of scarcity for you so we could go over this together. Is a situation in which available resources or factors of production are finite, whereas wants are infinite. There are not enough resources to produce everything that we need and want. The basic economic problem that arises is because people have unlimited wants, but resources are limited. So to summarize that, essentially, we have limited resources. So let's say money, right? And there are unlimited things to buy. So you need to make a decision on what is more important for you to buy. You need to prioritize things. But how will you prioritize if just by a click of a button you can create 500 billion out of thin air that goes and is pumped into the system? Just like that. Literally, that's how it happens. Let's just look at 2 charts. This one is the balance sheet of the Central Bank of the United States, the Federal Reserve, and this one is the debt currently held by the United States as it progressed over time. My question to you to think about is, when will this end? Even though the trend is increasing and quite exponentially, as you may see, there has to be a stop put in place. You can't just, keep printing. I mean, you can, but that will not only lead to inflation, that will lead to hyperinflation. And that will be the type of money that you will just find in the trash because it's so worthless. So coming back at this idea of scarcity and a finite amount of money supply, Bitcoin earns all the points on that one. With a finite supply of 21 million and that's it, there won't be any more Bitcoin created by any central bank or by any other third party ever. That means ever, not like the current central bank ever. And if we split the total amount of Bitcoins that there are over the amount of people that we have in this world, we would get somewhere around 0.002 Bitcoin per person. But the main point is this: if you own a given amount of Bitcoin, there is no way in the world that someone could create more and say, yeah, look, this type of Bitcoin is worth the same amount as yours. And currently this is how we get more money in our economical ecosystem, just like that, with not asking you, me, and sometimes even governments. It just appears like so. Second reason is diversification. Just about a year ago, when everything in the markets was kind of stable and going up, most of the publicly traded stock companies would actually buy back their own shares to keep their valuation so inflated and keeping this fake notion of confidence going around that everything was fine with their business model and that they were actually being profitable. Let's pick one of the most extreme examples right now, the case of Boeing. Boeing has been very aggressive with this method over the years of buying back their own shares. And let's imagine that we're in a Boeing corporate meeting about a year ago and we have 100 million of cash at hand. Could spend it on anything: research and development, up the salaries of the people that are performing well, maybe get a more expensive and better supplier in your supply chain in there. But no, we need to keep our pockets full for the short term, so we're gonna put 80 million, if not the 100 million, back into the stock market, back in our own shares. So when you look at your net worth is actually increasing. So that might feel good for a while, but is that net worth actually increasing on solid foundations? And now 100 million is gone, like there never was these 100 million in the first place. And that actually puts on the table a very difficult situation for the companies and also for the governments, as there are 2 main options that a company could do once it reaches that point. It could either be bailed out by the same government if it provides a good business case for doing so, or the second point, which is the more likely and the worst point for most people, is that that company needs to lay off personnel. Thousands could be impacted by this. And I think governments understand this very well, and that's why they're being so proactive in this coronavirus situation, because it's not just about the virus, it's also about keeping your society put together and your economical system also running in parallel. What I honestly think is that governments understand this risk of having an unemployed and unhappy population, as it would also represent a potential risk for them. So that's why I think governments at the moment are being so proactive, as it increases the confidence of the population and also at the same time decreases the panic of this unusual situation. But it's not like you can't do anything about it. You can increase your safety net. And I really think, despite the fact that what I've said is extremely negative, we still have some time to make it right, or at least a bit better off than it currently is. And Bitcoin being an alternative investment, essentially running in parallel to this current financial system that we have, is not dependent on how the main market is performing, as it can just sustain itself on its own. As long as there are miners, as long as there are some users, the ecosystem sustains itself, and the only thing that we need is the internet. But come on, if the internet went down, then I think the entire world will collapse and you would fall into a depression. Be honest here. And last but not least, in these quarantine times, try out something new. Engage in something that you don't know and learn something interesting and step out of your comfort zone. At this point, you've probably heard about Bitcoin. You are probably somehow scared of it. And honestly, I understand that one. You maybe even know someone who has made a lot of money on it, and you probably know even more people that have lost money on it. But those were the speculators. And my approach in this video is extremely fundamental. Crypto as an ecosystem is so new and it hasn't failed yet. And this yet is very important, because it's been existing in parallel to the current economic system for 10 years now. And it could go to zero. There is a risk of that, you know? That's why you invest what you can afford to lose. And I recently made a really good video on this, which you can check out right here. But we can't forget, at the same time as there is this risk of Bitcoin going to zero, there is also the potential for it to going to all-time highs and beyond. And I really do believe when you own some Bitcoin, you are kind of saying fuck you to the current system. Bitcoin doesn't need the banks. Bitcoin doesn't need the government. Bitcoin doesn't even care about your opinion on it. And that's what makes it so strong on its own. And it will continue whether you hop on this train or not. So with that being said, I invite you to buy your first Bitcoin. Link in the description down below. First thing that you'll see. Get your feet wet or jump right into the ocean with the sharks. Doesn't matter, as long as you own some. I think you're on the right track and you understood the main message of this video. So that was it for today. My name is Vlad the Crypto Trader, part of the Be Independent tribe. Like and subscribe to this channel to let me know that you found value in this video, and I hope to see you the next time around. Take care.